under an hour. Oh, I tweeted out. Oh, they gave us our new softball hats for this year, and this hat is tight. Might be doing a hat switch mid-broadcast here. Not tight like cool, like tight like...
You're squeezing your head.
Mark.
Oh, God. It's really short, too. It doesn't come down very far.
No, it's not bad backwards.
Tweeted.
But it kind of looks like a hairnet.
Yeah. Because you can see the bill of the cap doesn't go far down either.
Oh, yeah, by the way, Zoe, the umpires keep getting worse.
Oh, so bad.
They're terrible.
I think it was Friday night or Saturday night. Anthony Rizzo, in his first at-bat, had like a pitch 5 inches below his knees, called a strike.
Terrible.
Terrible. And wheels and
I'll keep an eye on these comments, too. Like, if anybody actually comments, that way we don't like, oh, look, somebody's been having a full conversation and we didn't even notice it.
Yeah, I felt bad about that.
Get yum.
I just retweeted it from our own account. Holy shit, I'm stupid.
It's the drunk there?
No.
Both games?
Yeah, we won both games.
Look at you, Cy Young.
Nothing like winning 2 on a Sunday, baby. Twisted softball. What up?
Do you guys also play 7 innings?
Yes.
You guys are just like Major League Baseball.
Just like it.
Just like them.
Give or take.
Just like
Give or take a couple pounds, and the fact that we drink 230 racks of Busch Light and a case and a half of Twisted Teas.
I don't see any other pitchers starting 2 games in one day.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
And I struck a motherfucker out too.
What?
The umpires are so scared to ring up people looking, but everyone in the park was like, oh, because that was definitely strike 3. But then we got him not tagging off a second base on a flyout, so cheaters proof. I was a little salty. If you guys would have been proud of the little fit I did on the mound. It's like, don't be scared. I screamed, don't be scared, Blue. Ring him up, man. No one's going to yell at you.
Jake Peavy on the mound over here. What?
Oh, we're on the big screen for Mr. Hand.
I was half drunk, so that is kind of like Jake Peavy.
Shout out to Mr. Hand. Did you do a double? Was that a double you said, Kevin?
God, yeah, I overpoured that one. It's still sitting over there too. I'm a little rough today. We had a pretty decent night out last night with dinner and stuff.
All right, Mr. Hand. I see you putting us on the big screen. I'm glad that Jesus is watching too.
Our heads look even bigger.
That's a lot of pressure. All right. So people watching the live feed, thank you for watching the live feed. Apparently we have a comment section that we didn't know we had. So if you want to interact with us while we're doing the show, we now know that we have a comment section. So please feel free to comment and we will take them as they come in. But yeah, and then obviously if you're watching the live feed, we do got to do a little podcast intro and everything for the recorded show. So stick with us and we really appreciate you guys watching. We really do. You guys ready? All right. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? I'm sober, and it is Monday, August 3rd, and you have found the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I am your host, Matt Swatsky, a.k.a. Southside Zoe, a.k.a. 4 for 5 is good, a.k.a. Father Zoe. With me, as always, is Mr. Aldo Soto.
What's up? I just want to give a shout-out to the best team in the National League, your Chicago Cubs.
They are actually, though. There's no hottest team in baseball, almost.
Hottest team in baseball.
And he's on mute, Kevin Fiddler. There he is.
What's up, guys? Yeah, that was pretty nice to see. Today was the first time the bullpen didn't scare the crap out of me, and that happened to be when we started an inning with a runner at second, which is strange.
They're used to it.
So yeah. This is our Monday morning weekend wrap-up that we're going to be trying to do more and more throughout the season. And what a weekend to do one for. Great weekend in Chicago baseball. North side and south side both took care of business. Swept, whatever tense you want to use or made-up word.
Took the trash out.
took the trash out, did what they were supposed to do versus teams that they should be doing that to. So we're going to just wrap up the weekend, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, what we saw, things that we're pointing out. Mailman Jack has pointed out I do have a lovely makeup station right there. I'll tell you what, Jack, looking this good doesn't just happen by going like that. All right, we got full production over here. But with all that being said, hey, 2 sweeps. Let's tap this guy. As always, this podcast is brought to you by Sports Mockery, sportsmockery.com. Make sure you download the app, turn on push notifications, and you'll get notified when your favorite under 23-year-old on the White Sox goes 4 for 5. It happened a lot this weekend. But yeah, Sports Mockery, sportsmockery.com. So, White Sox did what we said they need to do. They went into Kansas City and took 3 of 3 games. And they did it in pretty impressive fashion. 21 hits on Saturday?
Yep, solid.
Yeah, 20-something hits. It was a lot of hits. Friday, the bats were a little dormant. Adam Engels' 3-run homer proved to be all they needed. And then Saturday and Sunday, it was just someone put the quarter in because it was full merry-go-round. But that's what you got to do. We've talked about this a bunch of times on the show, especially in this 60-game sprint. And I know we're not 1/10 anymore, but I'm sure Steve Stone
we're at game 24.3.
Thank you. And that was really good timing. Like we planned.
Of course,
that.
I drive on Tuesdays. Excellent driver.
But this is what you got to do when you play these teams like Kansas City, who I don't even know if you could say they're rebuilding. I think they're just bad. When you play these teams, you got to take advantage. And the White Sox did it, and that's what a playoff team does, is beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Some of the good, how do you not start with Luis Robert? I mean, I can't even talk about the guy without smiling. I feel like I have like a schoolgirl crush. Like I'm just, he's so good. Hit the shit out of the ball.
So his double on Saturday.
That's
like
what I was
the half,
about.
The half swing, like off the end of the, like just flicking his bat out there. He hit that like
he was hitting a 60-degree wedge. It was a flick of the wrist.
He hit it like 380 into the left center field gap. Like it was nothing.
The ball just kept going. Even people watching, like Steve Stone, and they were just sitting there and they're just like, that just kind of kept going. And even his home run looked like a warm-up swing. And he put it over in the fountain in right center.
I mean, both of his home runs, because his first one was against the Twins, and that was like that one where he just like hit straight up into the air and then went 410 feet or whatever. This guy's
he's a freak. He's a freak. He's batting 351. He still has a hit in every game he's played in the major leagues.
Decent.
Showing crazy range still in the outfield, tracking. The Royals hit a ball that was about a foot in front of the fence in right center. And as soon as the ball left the bat, I was like, oh, shit. He's like moonwalking over to the ball. Like he's sitting there, like he gets there, he does like a dance. Like I was like, how do you get there so fast?
Yeah, and so it's not just there, too. That I think one of the most impressive things was also that fielder's choice, where it looked like a tailor-made double play, and he beats it out like easily.
Like it was, the camera couldn't even get over there fast enough. What up, David? Shout out. Thank you for the kind words. But yeah, it was just wild stuff, man. He's so good. I'm so happy that he is on the White Sox for hopefully if he ever plays in another jersey, I'm going to be very, very upset unless it's an all-star jersey. But the kid's the goods. I know, like, you get hot in your first series and you're like, okay, maybe he's just a little adrenaline, but he's calmer. And then some of the things he's saying post-game. So Saturday night, he went, homer, double, single. So he needed a triple to have the cycle. And Eloy was keeping up with him hit for hit. Eloy had a great game Saturday too. But after the game, someone asked Luis Robert, like, hey, you seem kind of like upset with Eloy, like what's going on there. And through a translator, obviously, he said like, oh, I was pissed off because he came up to me and was like, hey, man, all we need are triples for the cycle. And he goes, I looked at him and said, I don't want to hear that shit. I'm trying to focus on the game. My face hurt from smiling when I read that tweet because I was just like, that's a rookie saying that. You know what I mean? Like, that's this kid and people give him shit for the TikToks and the dancing and all that stuff. He's still a kid, but like, well, he can't do TikToks anymore. But it was awesome, man. It's just to hear that mindset from him and his focus and like, yeah, he seems like a pretty easygoing guy off the field, but I've noticed even when they show those cut-in shots in the dugout during games, he is just laser focused, man. And I love it. And I'm not saying this to start anything off. I'm not trying to create another discussion because it happens. He looked really good at leadoff.
He did.
I know.
And, you know, we talked about it last week.
I know.
It was a necessity today.
Or anything.
No. And well, before you take your victory lap, let's do it for a little bit too. But he's been doing. It was a great opportunity because against a bad team, TA goes out. They had a good excuse to give it a shot. It was exactly the kind of circumstance that it. And again, when you bring up, Madrigal, you've got that spot. You got another guy that's got to kind of bury as well.
Oh, we're getting there.
And Robert he's Lubab knows what he's doing. He's good enough there. You know, and I'm gonna do the screen share real quick. So I want to show you this. But like with his home run, the thing that I'm really impressed with what he's doing right now though is he's actually
very good podcast material.
He is absolutely well, and I'll describe it. You know.
No. Do the screen share. And for those of you that listen to the podcast, please check us out on YouTube. You can watch Kevin's breakdown of the swing because I'm telling you right now, especially if you got like
put this up.
Yeah, if you got a kid playing baseball or if you just are in love of like fundamentals or just someone who really loves the game, Kev knows his shit. And I'm not being biased when I say that. And you're going to want to watch this. So go ahead, Kev, share your screen. Let's do a breakdown.
Is it up right now or no?
No.
Here we go. Bam.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Ooh,
so
trippy.
That was very interesting. So like, yeah, when you're looking at this, and again, it's not much. I'm not going to break much down, but what he's doing is he's not missing mistakes. I mean, he drives this baseball that home run Saturday night, right center. He goes with it. When you have a young guy that gets up there, sometimes they're a little passive, almost too passive because they don't want to screw up and they're afraid to fail. He's going out there and he's not missing the mistakes. Look where this baseball is thrown. I mean, if you want to look at the location,
a little up and out, 95.
That's wheelhouse, up a little bit, about maybe 6 inches up a little bit as far as being like centrally located. A perfect pitch to drive, and instead it's a first pitch. How many guys do you see that don't swing at the first pitch? They go out there and they want to take their time. They want to see a pitch or two. And he doesn't. He goes right up there and he goes swinging, and he's a hard out. He's a difficult out. Mm-hmm. Now, he's not the god. He's just a god. But he is extremely talented, and I love to see that. I love seeing that he's going up there and he's not missing mistakes. When we looked, I think I sent you guys the pictures yesterday when he hit the double with his ass in the dugout. Like, I mean, we call that the eight swing. Is your ass is in the dugout, and he still managed one-handed to drive a baseball deep enough where it wasn't a piss missile by any means, but he's fast enough that by the time that ball takes a couple bounces, he's already standing on two. So it is a double, whatever you want to call it. It's a double because of his speed and what he gives you. And I thought that was very impressive because that was freakish. Just the one hand. It literally has one hand off the bat. I think it was his top hand wasn't even touching it. It was like open, like an open palm. And that's freakish.
It was pretty funny because in the inning before, or was it inning or 2 innings before, like Jose Abreu hit a double play and like he was out by like 40 feet at first base. And then what Aldo brought up, Luis Robert hit the same ball the next inning. And by the time the camera got to first, he was already past the umpire. It was just like, holy cow, Luis Robert is a god.
I think they said it's like 30. What is it? What's the breakdown of the speed? Like it was like 30.8 feet per second or whatever it was. Like elite of the elite. Of speed.
He's getting on the line like 3.8, right? Like 3.8, 3.7. I mean, he's
got. I think he has the only stolen base on the White Sox too.
I think about too what the kind of pressure he puts on a defense. If he hits a ground ball, you can't take that extra glove pat. You can't get yourself set and get your feet going. You got to get rid of it.
Oh,
I love that.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
Oh no, what happened?
This is coming out on Monday morning, so let me be the first official podcast to wish Luis Robert a happy 23rd birthday.
There we go.
Cheers.
Happy 23rd, bud. And the best part is we just said all that good shit about him, and it's his 23rd birthday. So that makes me very happy. So he was really good. He leads the team in batting average with 351, leads the team in hits with 13. I saw something like ridiculous. If this was a full 162 game season, he was like tracking to have a ridiculous WAR number.
It was like 4 point something. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he's just. But
No. In this season, he was still on pace. That was the number. I do remember. It was just for the season. He's on pace to have like a 4.3 F4 just through 60 games.
That's
yeah.
Yoan Moncada was like a 5 WAR player last year.
Right.
And not to be Debbie Downer, I've got to make sure we
he's gonna hit a slide.
We could look at him and say, look, it can't be. You have to know that there's going to be a moment where enough of the reports, enough of the footage is out, enough of the game plans have come out. I've already started seeing it just even this weekend. They've started to go up. First 2 pitches, beat him. He's getting beat a little bit. He gets tied up a little bit under the hands. They're going up, and then soft away. And they did that in his first 2 at-bats yesterday. He got him on the K in 3 pitches, but strike 3 yesterday. And the second at-bat was out of the zone, wasn't chaseable. And so they had to continue. And I was just really interested to see how they kind of adjust. But the more tape that's going to come out, the more adaptivity that the game's going to have for him. So it's going to be now on him to adapt his game once they start seeing, because there's just not enough sample size visually for other teams yet to know where his flaws are. And as they're going to start filling in those gaps. And then his job is then to shade that gap as well and fix it. And that those 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing is going to happen. It's good. But soon, I'd say around games 10, we're at 10, 11, we're 10 games in, 9 games in. I'd say around game 15, if there's a big enough sample. Yeah, so there you go. So big enough sample size, you're going to start seeing that game of adjustments bounce back to him. And that's where you're going to see what kind of a ball player he is as opposed to just a freakish athlete, how much he can adjust when they adjust. Because the league will adjust eventually. He's going to hit a wall.
And I agree, 100% agree with you. And it seemed like the early returns was to pound him low and away, and he adjusted. So that gives me a little bit of hope because he was able to adapt to that on the fly. But you're absolutely correct. Now it looks like the formula is up and in, low away and soft. And hopefully he can adjust to that. His hands are so quick, though. He should be able to get to that ball up and in. The other guy,
they're not trying to beat him, like strike him out with it either. They're just trying to get him to hit. They're trying to foul it off. Basically, he's just going to chop something. It's not I'm not going to punch it by you. His hands are too quick, but he does. He gets a little tied up under there. So that's something that's hard for any major leaguer. I mean, KB still struggles with it, and he's got a long swing too. That's something that I think Lou Bob's his hands are a lot quicker than Chris's, so he should be able to adjust.
The other guy in the White Sox uniform that I think needed to have a big weekend, and he produced was Yasmani Grandal.
Nicky Delmonico.
No. Nicky had an RBI single, though. Good for him, Nicky.
Producing.
Good for you, bud. Yasmani Grandal. Slow start for him. Ish. You got to know what your expectations. But first of all, and I'm not even like exaggerating to make a point, I think that's the first strike him out, throw him out I've seen from the White Sox in maybe 10 years.
Come on.
And I'm not even like making a joke. Like maybe AJ did it a couple times, but
by your boy James McCann.
I don't think they had to strike him out. And if they did, and I'm sure like Mr. Hand or someone is going to jump over me on it, but like that's the first one I can remember in recent, and it was beautiful too. Like it was one where the ball got to second, and he was just
threw out Merrifield by like just a couple steps.
But he did it at the plate. He brought the average up to 269. He actually leads the team in RBIs. So that's the big thing, though, is he came up clutch a lot with runners in scoring position. He was hitting really well. Gap shots. And I love it. I think in MLB The Show, he has a 9 speed. So I'm cool with him not. He made a joke about it, too. He said his daughter was playing MLB The Show, and he saw his speed, and he was like, oh, come on. But I can relate. I'm probably the slowest human being anyone has ever met in their life. I cannot run. But no, it was a good weekend for him. A lot of people had checked themselves a little bit. People were looking for that instant return on their big money spent in the offseason. And, you got to remember Yaz is new to the AL Central. He's never seen a lot of these pitchers before. There's a whole thing going on now about what kind of tape you can use. And, whatever. I'm very happy with it. Yeah. Some of those should have been doubles, but again, 9-speed. But he had a good weekend, leads the team in RBIs, clutch hitting. It's a very valuable thing to have that switch hitting bat in the lineup, especially with such a heavy right-handed batter lineup that the White Sox do have. And then before we get to pitching, Nick Madrigal came up this weekend, fellas.
Who?
Who
I am surprised. We are about 20 minutes in.
I did it on purpose.
20 minutes in, unacceptable.
I did it on purpose.
Are you even a fan?
I did it on purpose.
I think I have to elevate King Mac to #1 Nick Madrigal fan. Unacceptable.
Oh, he can have it.
Didn't even hear the word laser show. I was waiting for a laser show, and I didn't hear anything.
Last one was in 2015. All right. So 5 years, cut it in half. Mac's awesome. Yeah, he got called up on Friday. Everyone's excited. I'm pumped. I was on a call for work when he got called up. I flipped my phone back over, and it was like 40-something notifications. I was like, Madrigal got called up, baby.
It could have been bad, though. It could have been like, wow, can you believe that Madrigal wasn't called up?
Not that many notifications. I wouldn't have got not that many. And he came up and he, his first 2 games, he does what Nick Madrigal does, though. He struck out only 1 time. He was making contact. It just was right at guys and in terrible times, like bases loaded, hitting into a double play. But I still, I had faith in my guy that he was going to figure it out, and he was still making good contact. Again, it was just right at people. And then Saturday night, something magical happened, and it was one of the coolest things. I love White Sox Twitter. I've said that on the show 1,000 times, but just from the parking lot, out of nowhere, friend of the show, Aloha, Mr. Han. He's one of the 108 guys over there. He decides, you know what? I'm going to get this kid out of a slump. I'm going to take a big-ass shot, and hopefully it warms him up. So he does it, and then Mailman Jack does it, and then our own K-Fids does it, and everyone's commenting, and, it felt really cool. It was like a really cool thing, and I don't know. And first of all, these weren't shots either. You all are psychopaths. They're pouring like pint glasses of whiskey and just chugging it. But it was really cool to see. And I don't know. To me, that just spoke really high to the sense of community and White Sox Twitter. And White Sox Twitter is such a great place. Obviously there's assholes and there's negative guys and all that stuff on there. But I don't know. I love it there. But it was really cool to see. And you know what? It worked. It worked.
It just had a delayed response.
That's the thing. It was like the mojo was like building, and then like on Sunday it was like Hadouken. It all came flying out, and Nicky Madrigal goes 4 for 5. Could have easily went 5 for 5 too. Just missed that 5th hit, but 4 for 5, and he was in fact the laser show, spraying everywhere. Base hits, going with pitches to right field. That's definitely his move, too. He loves just taking that ball, slapping it to the right fielder. But it turned out to be pretty crucial. He was scored twice, kept innings going, got things, and that's what he's here for. That's what it is, right there. Sunday was the perfect game to show you what it is. Unless he made like a diving catch, but he's already way better at second base. But that's what he's going to do batting in that 9th spot for the White Sox. All right? He's going to get on base. He's going to hit base hits. He's good on the base pass too. He gets on base, and then you have Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada, you know what I mean? Jose Abreu, Yasmani Grandal, Eloy Jimenez, all coming up behind him. All he's got to do is get on base, and that's how you're going to win these damn games. You know what I mean? Like, it can't always be home run.
He's the perfect guy that you want, like in the bottom of the order. And Kevin, you said it, like kind of your second leadoff man to some extent. And, Nick Madrigal isn't to the level of like hitter that other guys are that the Sox have brought up. So, you don't want to put that much pressure on him. So perfect spot for the 9-hole. Be like, go out there, play your game, see pitches, make contact. And that's what he's done. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some weak contact, but as we saw on Sunday, he's going to have those games where he's going to put the bat on the ball and he'll get like 3-4 games. They might not be, obviously we know he's not going to, he's not a power guy, but just get on base because then you just roll that lineup over. And in this Sox lineup, that's all you want. Get your big boys up with guys on base.
Yep, and he does a good job of it too. He's a back control. He's not a chaser. He's a guy that will put pressure. And again, if you want to pick, if he's in the 9-hole and Lou Bob's in the 2-hole or is leading off or whatever, he's going to see a lot of great pitches just because you're going to want to go after Magical. If you have to choose right now, you're going to pick your poison. Technically, you're going to go with him as opposed to Robert. Or I don't know how to say it right now. You always make me say it Robert, and it's Robert, isn't it? Or is it Robert? Because I don't want I'm going to say it wrong.
He's Cuban.
He just sounds very classy.
It's very classy.
Yeah, we'll just call him Zod. But yeah, he's perfect. So you're going to pick your poison, and you don't want to face him. You want to face. So they're going to go after Magical, and it's going to be great for Magical because he's going to see. It's probably going to be. He's probably going to see some pretty good pitches to hit, and if he does the job, it creates chaos because again, he's quick and he's good on the base paths, and he's a good ball player, well rounded. He's going to create that havoc. So that's good. That's positive for him. That works out really well for him.
So I think I have 2 things. One, Tim Anderson is on 10-day injured list.
Yep,
that seems to be the only reason that Luis Rivera was moved up finally, but he was. And hey, hats off to Ricky Renteria because he actually did it. He could have easily just moved him up one spot and then just slid like Moncada to lead off or something like that. But no, he went to Luis Rivera. When Tim Anderson comes back, does he just go right back to lead off? Does Robert stay there? What do you think so?
I think Robert sits at your leadoff position because you want to get him as many at bats as you want. Timmy was hitting before he went down. You know what I mean? Like
3 hits or 2 hits?
Yeah, he's not. It's not like he wasn't hitting, but I will say, in 2019, batting 6th in the lineup, Tim Anderson was batting .426. Batting 7th in the lineup at 114 at bats, he was batting .325. So you can easily keep Luis Robert in that 1 hole and slide Timmy in that 6-7 spot, and it'll be fine. It's not that big of a deal. I think Tim likes being the leadoff guy. I get that. It's, it is what it is, but and at this point in the junction, like he has to realize like this kid is something special. He needs to be batting leadoff for this team.
Is that the question though, man? Do you really want, like, you say it a lot about, wanting to have your best bats get as many opportunities. Why would you push a guy that is going to get on, a guy that's going to get on base? What is his on base percentage sitting at? He's roughly like 355. A guy that's going to get on base a ton too. He's got 10 hits, 4 doubles. Why would you want to push him all the way down to 6 or 7? Is there a way that you could slide him in somewhere else, where like early in the lineup, and pair those two together?
So the only way you can really do that is if you bat like TA maybe 2nd, and then Moncada 3rd, and then just push everyone down from there. But then if you do that, you got Eloy batting 7th.
Yeah. Hey, which
it's an embarrassment of riches. It really is.
It really is.
You can always put Eloy ahead. But the one thing I worry about is from the beginning of the season, and obviously things can change, and especially this year, who the fuck knows? But like Ricky Renteria made it like very clear from the beginning that it's like, no, my 1-2 hitters are going to be Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada. And I don't know. I just have a feeling when he comes back, he's going to be like, no, like he'll slide right back in. Because he made it clear. We'll see. Spring training, he's like, I'm going to go TA and Moncada 1-2.
If Luis Robert has a big series against Milwaukee while TA is still out, which he very much could because Milwaukee's pitching is not great. How do you – it could be one of those things where, yes, going into the season, you had those blinders on and you thought that, and that was your plan, but it's baseball. It's sports in general, man. Shit happens and you got to adapt.
And then the other thing with that is Tim Anderson's defense, are you worried?
No. It is what it is, man. We all knew.
It's not pretty. The footwork.
He's got to work on it.
No,
and the errors this season.
Those are the only errors the White Sox have, right? They only made 2 errors the whole season, and it's him.
Yeah, and they really. One of them was, they weren't great, man, and I don't worry about it. I mean,
all I'm saying is Tim Anderson would make a great right fielder for you guys.
Remember when we used to talk about that all the time?
That kind of got like washed over last year when he won the fucking batting title. So like, yeah, fucking great. But the defense is still bad. He doesn't really seem like it's gotten any better. So you have to get to the conversation where.
Yeah, 2 rough games. 2 pretty rough games in the field so far. One was Friday night against the
Royals.
And then one of those games, I think it was against Cleveland. But yeah, man, I want it to be better. Well, yeah, 100%. I want it to be better, but it's just, I don't know. It doesn't really surprise me. I would hope that he continues to work on it and it just gets better. But it's just this year it looks like a footwork thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
coming back, it's what was it, a groin?
Yeah, strained groin.
That's not. It's like obviously not something easy to come back with. That can just be a nagging thing. Even if he does come back, like he can just like feel it, and who knows how that's going to affect him on the field.
I don't know. And a lot of people don't like Tim because of his outspoken personality and the commercials and all this other stuff. He's putting himself out there. For me, I mean, I'm all just get yours, man. Get your money. He's doing great stuff in the community outside of other thing, and just. But one of the things he keeps talking about is how he wants to be different and be the best, and he's going to work harder than everybody. You got to work on your fielding, man.
That's the thing. All these guys put in hard work. They wouldn't be at this level if they wouldn't.
Right.
At the end of the day, you have to get results, though. And so far, I was seeing that it's not like year 4 of Tim Anderson, or like year 5.
Well, and that kind of rolls into. That rolls right into what I wanted to talk about next before we go over to the Cubs is the White Sox pitching. And what we're seeing, 2 times now through the rotation, it's no secret, guy. I mean, the White Sox have ground ball pitchers. And if you're going to roll out a bunch of ground ball pitchers and you got a shortstop that's having problems, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So hopefully he could. I mean, that was one of my biggest arguments about having Madrigal up was you got ground ball pitchers. You want the kid at second base. So it's definitely something he needs to work on. But holy smokes, the rotation the second time through, day and night. Lucas Giolito does what aces are supposed to do in the last game in Cleveland, and he stops the bleeding. He throws an absolute gem out there in Cleveland. And I was joking on Twitter. I was like, if a Sox pitcher goes 5+, that's a win right there after the first run through this rotation because it was brutal. Dallas Keuchel is looking good. He's looking both his starts. He's 2-0 right now with a 3.38 ERA. He's only given up 4 runs. He's got a 1.03 WHIP.
Even when he got into some trouble in Kansas City, hunkered down, got out of it. I think there's a couple times where, I think there was like a leadoff double in the 4th or 5th inning on Saturday's game when it was still close. Just like worked around and got out of the jam, and Sox offense went to work after that.
Gio Gonzalez is never going to be a world beater. He's like a hard 5th man in a rotation, but he didn't look great against Kansas City, but he also got himself out of a couple jams. He was locating the breaking stuff, which was good. And then Dylan Cease, man, I'm rooting like crazy for you, bro. And he came out Sunday against the Royals, and he pitched way better on Sunday. Like I said before, he's got the stuff. He's hitting 98 on the gun, breaking balls dropping. It's just location.
They need to do something where, like, whenever he starts against like a better team, because I mean the Royals are trash, and it's not like Cleveland
he's going to start against the Indians,
and it's not like it's not like Cleveland has a good offense either,
right?
But like you just have to like I don't know, put tape over whoever the team is, put tape over the lineup, be like, hey Dylan, you just go out there,
just throw, because
do not worry who's in the batter's box. You have great stuff. Throw it in the zone. You can get these guys out. Don't worry about like the name on the back of their jerseys or the front. Get these guys out, because he has great stuff. We thought, but he just gets to the like to a place where he's either I'm not gonna say scared, but it's just like maybe just less confidence of maybe I can't get this fast as this guy. Yeah, he's just like he tries to be too accurate. Like you don't have to paint every corner against some of these bad lineups. And I mean we saw it against Kansas City. He was out there like free and easy, loose. Now
throwing.
Just hopefully just continue that when you have better lineups. But
yeah, to that point, I mean, and Beefloaf, friend of the show from the 108, Beefloaf has brought it up a couple times too. Like he looked lights out on the inter squad game, and then Cleveland touched him up, and then he came out and looked really good against Kansas City. I'm not putting this on him yet, but Cease is getting close to being a bum slayer. Now, I don't want that to be true. We're going to see him Friday. He's got the ball against Cleveland pending, COVID cancellations and other shit going on. But he's got he's going to be going against Savali again, Cleveland at home. And I think that's going to be a really good gauge of where Dylan Cease is at. So,
by the way, I think the term bump slayer was started by Jason Goff. And I think the player that he started that with was a Bulls player. And this is not where you want Dylan Cease to end up being. I think the player that Jason Goff used the first time he used the word bump slayer for was Tyrus Thomas. Which, I mean, he looked great at shitty teams, but then obviously when the competition went up, he was bad, and then he was like out of the league. And
it's a great term. I've been using it since Jason introduced it to Chicago for a long time. But bump slayer.
Kirk Cousins, right? There's what that is.
Minimum, you want to be a bump slayer, because if you're not a bump slayer, you're just bad. Right. So at least he's up to that right now.
Yeah, he's proven. If you're not a bum slayer, you're actually the bum.
Exactly.
And then, that's a good point. And then this whole weekend, though, White Sox bullpen, what's up?
Jealous.
Looking real good, baby. Looking real sexy.
Isn't it great, Kevin? Isn't it great, Kevin, that Zoe's just out here? The Sox have a lead, and like the bullpen comes in and doesn't have to worry about like guys getting on base, runs scoring, home runs being given up.
I'm actually excited when
we're taking our pulse and checking, make sure that we're not having actually a cardiac arrest, and he's just enjoying it like the freaking Buddha.
Cubs fans literally start every time the bullpen comes in. We're like, oh shit! That's literally the first expression every single time. The Cubs could be up by like 5. It doesn't matter. It's like, fuck. Let's hold on. That annoying dude
sits next to you at lunch, and you're like, oh, he saw us. No, he saw us. Did you make eye contact? Which one of you dumbasses made eye contact? And next thing you know, you've got, Winkler sitting down at your table and spilling all your coffee and giving away all of your cookies too.
Telling the same story he's told every time he sits down. You're like, okay, dude.
It's the same story every time.
Let me introduce you to my friend Craig. Oh, Jesus. Craig too.
Let me brag about my bullpen for a minute. So you got Aaron Bummer with 10 strikeouts already this season. He's slinging it. Very nice, powerful lefty. But the big ones, we'd be remiss not to bring up Kelvin Herrera. Bye. Later, dude. Which, all right.
Bad signing.
Bad signing. That you chalk that one up and you move on. It just didn't work out.
Though, and I think it was a lot easier to do this season, since like these guys are getting paid whatever it is, like a third of their pay or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
because I think it was like $9 million that Herrera was going to make for the full year, but like a lot easier right now if he's only making like $2 million to just be like, take the money and please leave, never come back ever again.
And just to warn you two, I saw a lot of people be like, Cubs need bullpen help.
No, they do, but that's not the answer.
You do not want that. I think Kelvin's spent, but
he's done.
In his absence, though, Cody Hewer,
yes,
kid looks like the goods, man. Kid looks very good, and very happy to see that dude come up, do his thing. He's rocking a 2.70 ERA, 3 innings pitched.
Boy, Cordero with his fucking pythons.
Gun show, baby. Gun show coming out, and he's looking. This is the best I've ever seen him pitch.
I saw that in his out of Kansas City. I thought he was just doing it for show, like in spring training or like summer camp. But no, he's still doing it in games right now. Yep,
he's looking really good. Shishak's been a little, not great, not terrible. Jace Fry still sucks. You guys can have Jace Fry if you want. I'll give him to you cheap. But then Evan Marshall, Aaron Bummer, both very solid. Fucking Ross Detweiler's throwing that thing.
Does Big Boss Ross get in the rotation soon?
I don't know about all that, but
Gio struggles. I mean, Gio's okay, but he's still he barely went 3 innings.
Right.
What about a piggyback? Piggyback, Gio, and then Big Boss?
It could happen. Crazier shit's happened. Then they brought up some kid, Matt Foster. And if any of you watched the game, you'll get why I'm saying this. But just in case you didn't know, Matt Foster's from Alabama. I don't know what the White Sox broadcast team is obsessed with Alabama, but holy shit.
Big Saban fans.
But they're talking about Bama football. They're talking he's from Alabama. I'm just okay, guys. We get it. But
were they just surprised? Has there never been a baseball pitcher from Alabama? What? Yeah, that's pretty weird.
I guess, but he looked all right. I mean, obviously, it was his MLB debut. It's nice to do that against the Royals. He actually got the win.
On Saturday, right?
Yeah, he's 1-0 right now. And then Alex Coleman, man, I just wish he worked faster. It's when your team is up 5-2 and all you want are these 3 outs to call it a game and you can go do whatever you want to do or whatever. And he's up there and he's doing the thing where he sets and then he waits and you're just throw the fucking ball. And
it's you know what it is. No, it's not that it's just the full counts too and the foul ball. Because I remember that on Saturday, right? It was he came in. Or Friday. It was Friday.
Friday.
Came in and the first batter was a 10, 11 pitch at bat. And you're just come on, man. Get this guy out.
Yeah. I mean, technically he's only got 1 save right now because the Sox did the damn thing all weekend. But
he had that shaky outing against Cleveland on Wednesday when he had the base.
It seemed more in the game versus Cleveland than he did against Kansas City, but in the game versus Cleveland, he was just leaning so heavy on that cutter. And it's dude, you're not Mariano Rivera. Your cutter's not that good. And, I mean, he was shaking Yaz off just because he wanted to throw the cutter. And it was getting really annoying. I don't care if a pitcher shakes a guy off, whatever, but he would shake him off and throw the cutter. It was getting annoying. But, I don't know. Sox bullpen looks really good. Very happy about this weekend. Upcoming, we got 2 in Milwaukee and then 2 on the south side. Milwaukee looks really bad right now. So those are 4 very winnable games. They had Lorenzo Cain opt out. Ryan Braun's on the DL with I think he hurt his pinky or something.
Yelich can't hit away from Miller Park because that's the only place where you cheat and hit.
Yelich is hitting .031. They just had all 4 of their games versus the Cardinals. So they haven't played since
Wednesday.
Played in a week.
Or 5 days.
Yeah, that's wild. So yeah, I mean, these are these are games you can get to. And then right after that, to round out the week, you got 3 at home versus Cleveland. Gotta win those games. I mean, you lost 3 or 4 last time. You got to get at least 2 out of these 3, I think.
I do think the whole, statement game, statement series, is kind of overrated, but
right. No, I agree.
Next one that you circle where it's like, hey, you lost these guys. These guys shut down your offense for the most part last week. You gotta show that you're a lot better than that.
The way it's looking right now, on Friday they'll be going against Savali. Saturday they're going against Plezak, who, shit, my bad on talking shit about him because that bit me in the ass. And then Sunday you got yourself a matchup. Sunday you got Lucas Giolito versus Shane Bieber.
Oof.
And those are 2 aces. That's going to be a great game. Nice little 110 start. Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, that should be a really good game, hopefully. So feeling good about the White Sox moving forward, because then after Cleveland, you go Detroit, St. Louis, Detroit. So feeling good about that. But just keep it going, boys.
And you have to face the best team in the league, baby.
Which is a great segue into the Cubs, because hey, I got no problem. It is what it is, and the boys they're buzzing, man.
The 2020 season absolutely counts. Yeah,
the boys are buzzing, dude.
It's nice when both Chicago teams sweep a 3-game series over the weekend. That's always a good Sunday night for everybody in town.
Yes, absolutely. And the Cubs they beat the Pirates in 3 games at Wrigley, which is great momentum because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you get a nice little 4-game series against the team that the White Sox just beat the shit out of, the Royals. So that's pretty solid. I'll let you guys go into a little bit more depth on what you liked and what you didn't like and what you need to see. So whoever wants to start, go for it.
Kevin, I just want to bring up number 1, Tyler Chatwood.
That's where I was going to start too, but I figured you guys would.
Is Tyler Chatwood the new Jake Arrieta? Who says no?
Hey, when he was brought over, that was kind of like the buzz was, is this another one of those pickups where he wasn't getting optimized? He had a fantastic road ERA and road stats in general when he was with the Rockies, because everyone has elevated home stats when you're pitching in Colorado, but it just never panned out because of his command issues. And this year, I think what is he throwing, like 10 2/3, I think it is, or something like that. And he's got 19 strikeouts. Are you kidding me? And he's 2-0, obviously. I thought he'd be a good 15-game winner when they got him. I actually was really excited about the move then, and it's been such a disappointment the last 2 years. But he keeps doing this. That's dominant stuff that Arrieta used to do. What did he carry? He gave up. Yesterday, he just went out there and just pounded everybody. He was at one point, I think he struck out 4 dudes in a row, 5 or 6, 5 of 6, I think. So when a guy's doing that is Jose who. Honestly, Quintana can go and be a new reliever at this point. If Chatwood's keeping this up, Alec Mills is keeping it up, there's no need to pull any of these 5 guys the way they're doing it. Lester was sharp again today, 5 innings. He needs to conserve some pitches. He gets to that bullpen immediately. It's terrorizing all of us. It's really traumatic for all Cub fans when he goes 5 innings only. But it's great to see.
Pitching on Chatwood, that shit was filthy, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So on Saturday,
the pitching staff.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in spite of how terrible the bullpen's been, this is how good the starters have been. In spite of the dumpster fire, hot trash, cauldron that the bullpen is, the Cubs pitching staff is 5th in the major leagues in batting average against and tied for 4th in hard hit rate, despite the fact that the bullpen has been horrifically, maybe even historically bad. The starters have been so good that they're still top 5 when it comes to getting outs. I think that's incredible. That's a testament to a great pitching staff. That's our starters, at least, getting their job done. So
on Saturday, Chatwood went 6 2/3, tied a career high with 11 strikeouts, walked 2 guys, only allowed 3 hits. Through 2 starts, 12 2/3 innings pitched, only 6 hits allowed, only 1 earned run allowed, 19 strikeouts, only 4 walks.
There it is.
When we're talking about a guy who was walking 18% of the batters he faced 2 years ago, and now he has a 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. And again, he always had the stuff. He has that two-seamer that comes back in off the plate against lefties. The big thing now, he's apparently just throwing his cutter a lot more, and that is getting a whole bunch of like swings and misses. So that's like his new thing where that's what they figured out. Hey man, control this cutter and you can go out there and dominate. And that's what he's doing. Obviously he has his command going right now. He's able to locate. I mean, there's not many people there. I mean, because it was so obvious before where he was like overthrowing. You know, he was spiking fastballs in the dirt, 56 feet. His breaking pitches were also just, you know, in the dirt. And it was so obvious that something was off. Mechanics just weren't there. And now he looks like a completely different pitcher.
Wow.
Oh, man.
It's fun to watch.
So him, and then obviously the other big news from the weekend. We talked about it last week after like his first outing against Cincinnati. Craig Kimbrell isn't the club's closer anymore. That was it. It took two innings for David Ross to be. This guy stinks. So he comes in. He comes in on Saturday. Cubs are up 6-1. It's like, all right, perfect. We get to have, or no, is it Saturday, Friday? Whatever it is. I can't remember now. So Cubs have like 6-1 lead. Perfect time to get Kimbrell some work in. It's like, hey, man, just go out there. Like, it's not a safe situation. Pressure's off. Just get 3 outs. A home run, 105-mile-per-hour ground ball to second, 106-mile-per-hour fly out to center, 102-mile-per-hour fly ball for the third. It's like, oh my God, I don't know if he's tipping pitches, if it's just he doesn't have any, like the spin rate is way down. I think we saw
way down.
Spin rate is down. The arm release, the release point is way lower. So maybe that's just guys are picking up the ball right away. Whatever it is. He looks done. I don't know how else to say.
Honest question. Kind of like the Kelvin Herrera thing. Do you see the Cubs just cutting bait?
No, because Kelvin Herrera was making he was only owed maybe like $3 million this year. Like Craig Kimbrell still has another $15 million for next year.
They're going to spend the better part of the season trying to get him right. And it's going to have to be in low leverage situations, obviously, or blowouts till he gets it right. And then he's going to have to earn that trust back. I think that the trust now is gone. You know, I think they went with Wick. Wick? Was it Wick? They went with Wick to close. And obviously, it's funny when you look at the Cubs stats. I mean, there's really not much you can trust out of that bullpen. Cubs have 6 players that have a whip under 1, and only one of them is a reliever. All 5 starters have whips under 1, and then Jeffries. That's it. And so, you know, Wick's been good, and Jeffers been, I think, maybe even better. I think Ross used him. He probably would have closed, but Ross used him early to get out of a big jam in the 7th, I think it was, yesterday. I think that Ross is going, look, I needed my best guy in my most important linchpin moments. He's not going to be playing. At this point, I think they're not going to play the closer game. I think they're just going to play hot hand game, and that's fine. I mean, honestly, you don't hog tie anybody in, and someone that gets hot can take the job and run with it. If they do, they get the opportunities. But, you know, at least for now, at least you can know you can trust Wick and you can trust Jeffers. And I think you're going to start to see some of these other guys be a little bit more trusted. A couple guys threw well today. But God, Kimbrell is. I've never seen somebody go from so good to so shit in such a fast downfall without a major injury.
It was literally from the 2018 playoffs to when he was signed. Those 8 months between him pitching, just completely different. Just bad. He's bad. I think the stat was between 2011 and 2018, or his entire major league career before the Cubs, he had one game that he gave up a multi-home run game, or 2 home runs in an outing. With the Cubs in 27 appearances or something. It's been was it 5, 6 games? Multi-home run games?
I'm going to butt in here with 2 breaking news.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. No.
One, Aaron Judge just hit another home run.
Holy
6 home runs in 5 games. And 2, the Marlins just came back with 0 positive tests.
Ooh.
So
Who did?
Right.
Good news
Marlins?
for baseball.
Marlins.
Yeah,
Nice.
the Marlins.
The
They should go
AL
celebrate tonight. They should hit a club to go celebrate.
I do want to get to that later.
Clown show.
After we finish the Cubs talk.
Sorry, so sorry. But I do want to ask you, Cubs guys, is there anybody in South Bend that you'd like to see?
Yeah, Burl, Caraway, the Duke of Burl. Now, not next week. Now,
You're the hottest team in baseball. You're sitting in first place. You kind of have to just keep it going in the 60-game season. You don't really got time to fuck around and figure out Kimbrel's arm. Is there any of these kids that you want to see up? Give them a shot at it.
Kevin just said it. Burl Caraway, Cubs second round pick, like a month ago or 2 months ago now, I guess. Bring him up. Fuck it, who cares? They did bring up a different lefty, Justin Steele, who he's been a starter for his minor league career, but everyone's saying, everyone who like really is like in depth with the minor leagues for the Cubs is like, this guy has like the stuff where, he can add a couple miles per hour to his fastball out of like a reliever role where he'll throw 95, 96, 97 from the left side. So, okay. He was called up on Sunday, and James Norwood they gave him the shoulder inflammation. I put that in air quotes because I was just like, we don't really want you right now. So Justin Steele's up. But, so that's one lefty. And, like, Kyle, man. So I made the mistake of – so 2020, there's a lot of things you can't do. Can't assume anything, number one. And I assumed that Kyle Ryan was just going to be, like, lights out every time out. He's going to get ground balls because that's what he did all last year. And then he came in on Saturday and, like, gave up a 2-run home run to left-handed hitter Colin Moran. Didn't look good. He was throwing, like, mid-80s. Apparently, everyone in the Cubs bullpen just like can't throw hard anymore. Not great, except for maybe a couple guys. But he didn't look sharp. Rex Brothers, he got touched up real hard. Cincinnati, and a couple times he warmed up on Sunday, but eventually David Ross never went to him. So good sign there. Just go to your best arms. Not just you don't always have to play the lefty-lefty matchups.
Right.
I think we saw on Sunday he brought in Dan Winkler to pitch to Moran, who hit a couple home runs the past couple games. So you want to, again, Burl Caraway, bring him up. I know they're not going to.
Why not? You got to do it, man. You don't have time to play around.
I want Braylon Marquez up. I mean, he hasn't pitched above like single A ball, so they're probably not going to bring him up. But I said it last week, Alzolay, that's a guy who's been a starter. He can probably give you a couple innings, couple times a week, get him up here. But man, what I do like, it would have been I think it would have been very easy. Like I'm putting this in the place of like if Joe Maddon was still a manager, if he was still the manager, I think it would have been very easy for him to say, yes, Kimbrel has looked bad, but this guy has a track record. I trust him. And I think you could have seen Craig Kimbrel out there again in a save situation this past weekend where he shouldn't have been. But David Ross, or no, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe Joe Maddon would have been like after the first time, he's like, no, this guy like stinks. Get him out of here. But I mean, I will give David Ross credit. Rookie manager, he's looking at a veteran who has the long track record, like one of the best relievers of this generation. And he's like, hey man, my guy, you're not good right now. You can't be our closer. And he did try to play the whole, not bury him in the media because they asked him about it after the game on Friday.
Which is good.
And they asked him, like, so like, are you going to go back to Kimbrel in a safe situation? He's like, those are conversations I need to have with Craig. I can't like tell you that right now. So okay, cool. So he didn't bury him in the media, but it's pretty obvious that right now Kimbrel's out, which is great news for the Cubs. Good
Uncle
for
Joe. Uncle Joe's having a little tough time with his bullpen over there in Anaheim.
Did you see Ohtani's going to get an MRI in his arm? Ugh, that's
he's got to stop pitching
everywhere.
And the other thing I like is that the Cubs are bringing up some of their young guys. Mm-hmm. So Justin Steele, who they brought up on Sunday, he is his first call to the majors, 25. I think he drafted in 2014 out of high school.
Yep.
So I love it. This is the year that you can do it, basically, because I mean, who even knows if we're going to finish?
Steele's
so why not?
Steele's interesting too because he's never pitched higher than Double-A. He was 0-6 in 11 starts last year at Double-A. That's interesting to me to think that they obviously it just goes to show that stats sometimes don't mean anything. They like what they've seen. Stats be damned. And again, Double-A, you're probably going to be facing more natural ball players than you do at Triple-A, which are more veteran guys, kind of just holding that water wagon a little bit more. But the Steele thing is interesting just because it's kind of one of those untapped things because he misses a lot of barrels. I mean, he's more than a strikeout in any kind of guy, so that's beneficial. And he probably walked a guy every other inning. I think it looks like last year. So they might like what they see. And having a lefty arm that's actually consistent is kind of important, but you better not take Burl Caraway away. I want Burl.
What I like about Steele too is just like a guy who can actually throw hard.
Yep.
What we saw with Kyle Ryan was with Moran. Yes, Kyle Ryan knows how to pitch, he knows how to locate, but when you can't throw your fastball past a guy, you have just a small room for error. Mm-hmm. That's what we saw. Like if you miss your spot just a couple inches, that guy is going to tee that 89 mile per hour fastball out of here. Yep. So, a guy like Justin Steele, if he misses a spot,
so he can get away with it
because he's like throwing 97 with some action. Mm-hmm. So I like that. Offensively, Sunday, the guy they started, Brawl, he's just mowing everybody down. He had a perfect game through 3. And then I think the Pirates came into the game with a pitch count or just a game plan. They took him out after 3 innings. He had a perfect game. And they're like, hit the showers, kid. You're done. And the Cubs scored right after that and then didn't score until the walk-off hit by Baez. But, all weekend, and Zoe, I guess you didn't even have to worry that much because you guys were hitting Kansas City every single inning. Yes. But the umpiring has been fucking atrocious, even more atrocious. And I'm not going to say it's just against the Cubs because there were some calls the Cubs hitters were getting too, but the strike calls, nobody knows what a fucking block is. Nobody knows what a check swing is. Nobody knows what a bunt attempt is. I don't know what these umpires. Why are they there?
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. Today it actually almost cost the Cubs the game with Nico Horner up there. Got a guys on first and second, which actually in that situation, I know you guys hate bunting in the first place. I didn't feel like that was actually a bunting situation. I figured as soon as they put that, put the guy, at first, you got guys on first and second now instead of just a guy on second. I think that alters what you got to do in that situation. And at least in these kind of situations, these extra inning things. And he goes for the bunt, he fouls off the first one. Shame on him for not getting it down. Obviously, Almora was behind him. It probably wasn't going to get the job done anyway. And then strike, the next pitch, it's 1-1 count. And he goes up there and he shows bunt and he throws the ball down in the dirt. And he does what every single player is taught to do, which is he pulls the bat back, clearly. And umpire then asks for help to a guy that's, I'd say 120 feet away, who that's probably the hardest thing to ask a field ump to do is to determine if a guy actually tucked and pulled it back. And he rings him. Makes it all of a sudden a 1-2 count instead of and on the play, heads up base running by Souza to take third because the third baseman for the Pirates is an idiot and he crashed and left, or shortstop didn't fill. And, he takes third. So now you got first and third. It would have been a 2-1 count, first and third, instead of a 1-2 count. That's a completely different at bat. That altered everything because then instead of getting an off speed pitch back, he got a curveball back right foot. Guy might have to go to a fastball to kind of make sure that he doesn't throw a ball by. And maybe, he has to give in a little bit. And that's where Nico's probably better. And instead, Nico, obviously, with the 1-2 pitch chases in the dirt, Almora goes up there and looks like hot trash, a bucket of, dung, except, just terrible swings. Takes a pitch right down the middle and then swings at a ball 8 inches off the dish. And it just completely changed. And they didn't score. They ended up winning it later with Javi. But that could have been the game right there just because someone can't see a dude pull his bat back. How do you miss that? You have one thing to watch at that point. And that's not hard to see from where you're at, but it's just been bad. The strike zone has been all bad. I think Nico got screwed a bunch of times this weekend on balls that were 6-8 inches out the zone. They call a strike, and it's come on, it can't be that bad. There needs to be some sort of accountability. Obviously, I'm more open to robot umps now than I ever was. They've been really bad this year.
Terrible.
No, all across the board. I've been watching. This is probably the most baseball outside of the White Sox I've watched in a long time, just because. Yay sports, and it's been brutal across the board, man. It's just been And that called third strike against Nick Madrigal was a ball. But anyways, it's been pretty brutal all over the place. So
yeah, other guy. I mean, by the way, the Cubs are 7-2 again, best record in the NL. A third of their games, Chris Bryant has been out. He missed Saturday and Sunday stomach issue, and then because of the protocols, they're just making sure it's nothing COVID related. So he had to sit out on Sunday again, and and he's been struggling to begin with. So just think about it. The Cubs have one of the worst bullpens in the league, if not the worst. I haven't looked at other teams. The Padres have had some couple games where their bullpen has been terrible too. Late leads blowing them too. Terrible bullpen. Chris Bryant missing a third of the games, and when he's played, obviously freezing cold start.
So he was out because he had the shits, right?
Gastrointestinal issues. So basically, yeah. And it's kind of ironic because I tweeted before the series, I fully expect Chris Bryant to explode this weekend.
Well,
and I didn't mean it to be taken literally, but apparently he had pea butt or something, and it did not work out too well. It looked like Lloyd or Harry Dunn from Dumb and Dumber, just kind of. But but it also brings up a really good point of how responsible these guys are in the Cubs clubhouse. Chris self-reported. He did everything that you're supposed to do when you're not. He didn't bring it into the clubhouse. There's a reason why the Cubs have been doing so well in this COVID stuff compared to anybody in the league. It's because these guys are smart enough. Chris is smart enough to say, and it shows a trust in your teammate too. That if you admit to it, that you might get banged out for a couple of days and not get to play. But he trusts his teammates to pick up the slack when he's out. And I'm sure any other guy in that dugout, it sounds like, would do the same thing. And I think that that's a wonderful attribute of a veteran-led team with a veteran, a veteran. I think David Ross right now he has to be someone that people are thinking about for coach of the year with a limited sample size, but he's pushed every button the correct way. And he's not just pushed the buttons, but he's kept the discipline in-house when it comes to what they're doing off the field. They're not going down to the Ozarks. They're not going out to the clubs. They're going back to their hotel. They're taking care of themselves, and they're making sure that they keep that clubhouse clean. And I absolutely love that they're doing that. It's such great synergy with the whole group. And I think that's what David Ross has always brought as a player. And now having him back in that dugout, these guys are thriving because they got Grandpa back, and Grandpa's still Grandpa. He's doing what he did. And I think that's a tribute to, I think Madden, maybe less Madden and more Ross in 2016 might have been more of the difference maker when you look back on it.
So I just have one more positive and one more negative. Again, going back to just think about 2019, the Cubs started out 2-7, and their bullpen was equally as bad. But the big difference this year so far is the rotation has been outside of the couple, the Yu Darvish start was shaky in Milwaukee or against Milwaukee, and then Kyle Hendricks just for whatever reason the past year can't pitch on the road in Cincinnati. But that might have not even mattered because Sonny Gray was just great that game. But the rotation outside of those two starts, which were the two Cubs losses so far, lights out. Lights out. I think it's now. I mean, Lester gave up. He didn't give up a lot of hits on Sunday either. He gave up the first home run. He was had a couple. I think a couple walks. But the Pirates really weren't doing anything much after that either. They were hitting the ball hard. You always want the BABIP gods on your side. Lester had that with him on Sunday. But Cubs starters are not giving up hits, which is great. And even Kevin, you said you're worried because in the first inning, and you more reason to, 20 plus pitches, and you're thinking, shit, is Lester going to be out by the fourth, and then we're going to need that much more of the bullpen. But I mean, he went 6 innings. And at this point of the year in 2020, that's pitching 7 or 8 innings any other year right now. How things are going. So great. Yu Darvish looked amazing Friday night. And again, it's the Pirates. Pirates are shit, but hey, you've got to. You
got to do what you got to do.
You just got to fucking take him out to the cleaners. Negative. And maybe it's a positive for the Cubs team, but it's a negative for Albert Almora Jr., who is playing himself out of a job.
Oh, he's done.
I don't never like the whole just zeroing in on one guy and you're only going to call this one guy. I try to be as consistent as I can. And it's not all, I mean, with Nicky Delmonico, like you said, Zoe, last episode, it's not his fault that he was bad in cleanup. He didn't put his name in there. It was the manager, front office, whoever decided that. It's not Almora's fault that he had so many opportunities batting leadoff in 2018 or 2019 when he was the clear answer that he was not suited to be in that role and just not suited to be in the lineup as often as he was. But man, this what I think the annoying thing for me and for a lot of Cubs fans is we've heard the same story for like 2-3 years now where, Albert Almora Jr. has been working hard in the offseason. He has he has a new approach at the plate, he has a new batting stance. It's something new. But at the end of the day, this guy hasn't made any adjustments. We're still seeing the same things. And again, it's limited playing time. I mean, he's only had like I don't know, 12 at-bats so far this year. But he's still just, outside pitch, trying to pull the ball, and we get a weak ground ball to shortstop. When you need contact against a lefty, we saw it Sunday after Horner strikes out, Almora is supposed to be like one of your contact guys. You can't be the contact guy and fucking strike out and look like you have no clue at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Love his defense. He does look a lot better this year than last year for whatever reason, like that his defensive level went down. But this year it does seem to go back to, he's solid defense, the guy you want out there in the 8th and 9th inning with the lead. But other than that, I don't see why Ian Happ should ever have to sit the rest of the year. He should be the everyday starting center fielder. Almora hasn't. And this isn't anything new. This isn't just these games in 2020. This isn't, second half of 2019. I know everyone wants to, or like his supporters want to say, after that foul ball incident in Houston that really messed with his mind, that was a very traumatic event. This is going back since July 2018. It's been 2 years now, where he is one of the worst hitters in baseball. And that's not hyperbole. Those are stats. Like, legitimately bottom 5 hitter in baseball for we've only played less than 10 games in 2020, but his last 190 games or something like that. Just terrible hitter. Hasn't made any adjustments. It's annoying. It's annoying. I'm glad that at least the bare minimum, Dave Ross has only limited him to playing against lefties so far and bringing him in as a defensive replacement. But I don't think he hasn't shown me anything where it's he should start. He shouldn't. He's like your 5th outfielder right now. He's a defensive specialist.
It's even harder is that with Happ. Happ's got his OPS is off the charts right now. He's got a 105.4 OPS. His slugging 679. How often do you want to put a guy on the bench that's doing something like that? Like today, obviously, Happ goes up there, and he got I think he pitch hit late, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't let a guy like Happ sit behind a guy that's just doing what Almora is doing. I think that Rossi's just trying to be equitable with some playing time a little bit too early on. I think you'll see Happ start settling into that role a little bit now that you start seeing, today I think would probably go a long way for Almora losing innings and opportunities, because that was a big opportunity for him to do something, and he didn't. He didn't answer the call, and that's bad. That's a red flag for a head coach to say, I can't trust you, and you go to the back of the line. Next guy up. Who am I going to have up in that situation next time? Because it ain't going to be you, because you had a chance to do it and you didn't, and you look like a deer in the headlights. Worse, so that's bad. I agree with you on that. And
right now, you can't even say that it. Literally, the only thing he brings to the team is he plays really good defense in center field. But there is a guy who, if the roster was at 20, right now, so the rosters are set at 30 for the first 2 weeks of the season. I don't know if they're going to expand that because teams are just having, or a couple teams are having COVID outbreaks, and you just don't know. There's a lot of injuries. I don't know if they're going to try to extend the 30-man rosters for a couple more weeks or one more week. But that's going to get cut down to 28, and then it's going to get down to 26. At this point, I think it was Michael Ernst who writes for the Cubs Den. Almora has 3 weeks to prove that he should stay on this roster, because there's the guy Ian Miller. Right. Ian Miller can do everything that Albert Almora can do, but he can do more because he can actually steal bases. Almora can't not. He's not a base stealer. Right. Ian Miller can drop down a bunt. I'm not going to be a guy who's you need a guy who can bunt, but hey, if you need it with these extra inning rules, sometimes you need that. And that's a guy who could he's great. He put down a bunt. He has the speed element. He can play solid defense too. Almora has it's whatever. I think it's 3 more weeks where, hey man, you have to show us something, or you're gonna go to South Bend, and then in the off season there's gonna be a serious conversation with the front office where they're like, do we need to bring this guy back at all, or is he gonna be non-tendered? Because it's bad. It's gonna be 2 years where bad hitter, bad baseball player. Not
he's
good.
Progressively gotten worse as his career's gone on. Like he's drastically declined.
Sooner or later, you got to tap out.
The ceiling was. It's not like the ceiling was ever high, but you expected a floor. There was years where he was hitting 285, 290. Like he was never going to be a guy who's going to walk. He's not going to hit a lot of power. But the minimum was okay. He can hit lefties. He can play really good center field. We're now down to he can't hit anyone, and he's all right inside, which.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, again, as an outsider looking in, I don't see why Ian Happ isn't starting every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just pretty simple.
I mean, man, again, Almora was the guy who's like, hey, you still felt comfortable even last year. You're like, okay, you can start him against lefties. But we went through a season where he was just terrible against lefties too. I think he was worse against left-handed pitching in 2019 than against righties. And that trend isn't really getting better this year. Hap, hey, at least he can walk. I know he's a lot better from the left side than he is the right. He can still work a count though, from the right side. And hey, get him more at bats to make him more comfortable from the right side. Because at this point, he looks like your guy in center. Stop wasting those valuable plate appearances with a guy who, yes, you put in the work, but you're not getting the results. The results are not. They're bad. Yeah. They're terrible. And I hate to say it. Like, obviously, you want all these guys to be great, but they're not going to be.
No.
And he's a good person. It makes it probably hard for Ross too. Is that he came up with Ross probably still sees him as that pup from 2016. He's probably he's probably got a lot longer a leash because he does. I mean, Almora is a nice dude, and those guys are real close, and he is a clubhouse guy. So the things that you don't see, when you don't have that insight as a fly on the wall to know what value he brings. But on the field, it's you're gonna get to a point where you might be even alienating players because you're like, why are you keep throwing this guy out there that just keeps not getting the job done? And I think Rossi sees it as. I think Rossi does want to give him a little bit more because I think he cares about him. But we're already at this point now where we're 24 games into the season technically. So, technically it's time to start looking elsewhere for an option. And because the option right now it's just not Almora.
And then, so coming up now for the Cubs this week, you got 4 against Kansas City, 2 at home, 2 in Kansas City. You got to win those games.
Got it.
And then a weekend series versus the Cardinals that finishes off with the Hendricks Wainwright showdown on Sunday Night Baseball.
Mm-hmm. If they play that series, because the St. Louis Covitals may not be able to do it.
Let's get to it. So Marlins, Cardinals have been the teams that had the outbreaks.
Yeah.
Reports, and I know Kevin. I was like, it's not that I didn't want to believe. It's just like it's Bob Nightingale. If you're gonna report it. Don't just be like, they maybe went out. But they came out. Marlins were fucking clubbing out or whenever. Cardinals going out to casino. Even after that, because I think the casino thing was like before the season, right, or something like
that. The Ozarks was before the season.
The Ozarks was like before the season. But even at that point, it was pretty established that you shouldn't be fucking going out because you're going to be going to camp.
Mm-hmm.
But even after the Marlins have, and I know it's golfing, and you're outdoors, and it's not like you're huddled up all the time, and you're not as huddled up as clubhouse. Guys, you don't have to fucking go out. You just saw what happened the week before. What are you doing going out and hey, you think all these other guys like to stay in their hotel room? No.
Nope.
It, and I've seen it. I'm normally again. I'll side with being more liberal for players, for whatever the consequences are. But at this point, the protocols were pretty fucking clear. They've been broken. If MLB wants to really put their fucking fist down, make the Cardinals hey guys, you fucked up. Nobody else did. You're gonna forfeit these games. You lost. Bam, 3-game series against the Cubs. You can't field the team because of a safety things. It's your fault. You just lost 3 games there. Same thing for the Marlins. If you want to take it even this level like beyond that, we're taking your pay away. You know what? Consider that too.
Yeah,
because
you got to hit them in the pocket. Otherwise, these players aren't going to respond to team losses. You got to hit them in the pocket personally. Otherwise, it's not going to change.
Either that or make Derek Jeter start at shortstop for the Marlins.
It's just so unprofessional too. Like I think I told you guys I was texting with Chasen in the middle of the night, and I'm like, "Why are you texting me in the middle of the night? What are you doing up?" And he's like, "We had to take a bus from Boston to New York because that was exactly what had just happened with the Phillies, and they wanted to take extra protocol." So he's like, basically, nobody got sleep that night on the Mets on the bus because it was terrible. It was a bus ride. Nobody wants to ride. You're a pro baseball player, for God's sakes. At that point, you're not supposed to. Major league player is not supposed to be riding a bus, and it's unprofessional, like you said it, because these dudes are going out there and Chasen is. He cracks me up. He's playing Fortnite every night in his hotel room. He hates it. He'd love to go out, but he understands what's important. And most baseball players in the major leagues are doing that right now. And then you got these dickheads, these dickwads in St. Louis and in Florida not following it. It's frustrating. And again, they're angry. The Mets players right now are angry. And I know Chasen was, Chasen's boy is one of the guys that got sick. And they're remorseful obviously now, but it's after the fact. It doesn't put the poop back in the horse. It's too late. People are pissed at those teams. I mean, it's not Astros pissed, but there's some pissiness. And when you've got guys that are going out there and doing this kind of stuff, I mean, think about it this way. Are you an idiot? Okay, it's one thing to say, I will go to my deathbed believing this is to be true. Is it's about sex a lot with these guys too. I think these guys want to go out and be girls too. It's a part of the road. And I think that some of these young ball players are going out and trying to, whatever you want to call it, it used to be called groupies, but they're just basically going out and people, they want that. They want what they worked hard for, which is to go out and to meet women. And, I'm sorry. I believe firmly that there are people out there that would intentionally try to get an opposing player sick by saying, "Oh, I've got COVID. Let me go see if I can't get blankety blank from the Cardinals sick because I'm a gigantic Brewers fan and I want the Brewer." They don't think rationally. It's obviously a horrible way to think, but I think that people are out there that people can actually go out and intentionally get spread something to somebody. No different than testing your food on the road for food poisoning and making sure no one's getting into your It's no different, and I think some of these guys they're so reckless that they're not thinking about the repercussions of their actions. Where you got older players, that's one reason that makes the Cubs make me so proud is that they are doing it. Look, it sucks, but you're getting paid pretty well to hang out for a little bit and just hang out in your hotel room. They're like a bunch of high school kids. When I go on road trips, I worry. I would take our guys and you do room checks and you do all that stuff. Are we perfect? No. Kids will sneak out their windows. They figure out ways to get around the system. No matter what you do, young ball players want to get into some mischief. And it's I think they said it on the broadcast today, but I've been saying it a million times. Someone needed to get code redded. Someone needed to get the soap in a pillowcase and say, look, if you go out one more time, you're gonna get it worse, because they've got to police themselves. And I think that most, again, all right now so far, just 1-2 organizations haven't. And that's frustrating because 2 organizations could have brought down the entire season. Now we're seeing no positives from Philly. We're not seeing, we're just seeing that the positives are only relegated to those 2 teams. That's a good thing. It doesn't seem like it's going to nosedive the season. We do have a bunch of, chicken littles with the skies falling, cancel the season every time someone tests positive. If you didn't think people were going to test positive, you're an idiot. It's going to happen. So they almost kiboshed the season. And now I hope this is the wake up call that baseball needed to get everybody to stay in their hotel rooms.
Yeah, no, basically, it's not like they're asking them to stay locked up for a year. It's 3 months, dude. Just
not even 2. And then if you're lucky enough to make the playoffs, 3 more weeks.
Right. So,
if these guys need to fuck, MLB, get yourself a sponsorship with some shop that sells sex dolls. Get it? Come on, you guys are already doing the Roman ads. Just take that step. Sex doll presented by MLB.com. I don't know. Get it done.
Sex doll workers unite.
Yeah. The only thing is, it's not going to change until if you can prove that a player broke protocol and indeed test positive for COVID. I mean, it sucks that he's got COVID, but you're going to have to throw a fine or something on top of that. And
you have to do the case tracing first, and if you can case trace it back to like them being reckless, I sure as hell you should find the hell out of them.
I'm trying to. I mean, it's bad, dude. Don't get me wrong. It's shit that you got a fucking virus, but like, you did it to yourself and you endangered other people. There's got to be some kind of repercussion for that.
Yeah, you have to hold it, and it. Like we go back to the whole Astros thing and like how they didn't get, the players themselves didn't really get any consequences because like they got the immunity and like they basically told what happened, and like that's the only reason we found out. Hold this over the entire Cardinals roster and like the Marlins roster because all those guys know what happened. So hold it over every single one of their heads. Like if you don't talk, like, hey buddy, it doesn't matter if it wasn't your fault. That paycheck you were expecting for this year, gone. So do that. If you get, I know that sounds terrible, but hey, you're not just talking about your own clubhouse. You're talking about entire league. Other guys, Stevens, all these players are fucking pissed. Souza was tweeting out on Friday. It's like and we're talking about a guy who missed all last year, tore his ACL in spring training, like rehab back, finally gets a deal. The two sides finally agreed to something for the 2020 season. He's back. This guy fucking loves the game, and all of a sudden, because some jackass in St. Louis or group in Miami wants to just fuck around, you're going to ruin this guy, other guys, just the White Sox. Imagine this great season, Luis Robert. It's like, you know what? Can't do it because, like half the AL East or, half the NL Central can't play.
Some backup relief pitcher on the Marlins went out to the club and brought it into the locker room and got everybody sick.
Here's the thing. Be strict. Are people going to hate it? Yeah. Do you want to finish the season? Yes. So you can't have one without the other.
Dude, again, guys, it's 2 months. If you want to pay me how much most of these guys are making to sit in a hotel room for 2 months and play baseball, I'd do it in a heartbeat. It's just to me that's just
horrible. You're going to nice hotels. It sucks being in a really cool city and not being able to do things.
They're not staying in the Red Roof Inn, man.
No.
They're staying in very nice hotels with it's.
And DoorDash works just fine. You can order DoorDash from any. If you want to use DoorDash, or you could. Room service is good. There's ways to get your food and your groceries and take care of yourself.
They're taking care of you. It's 2 months, though. It's like an extended summer camp. Just like, I don't know. I don't get it. But hopefully it's all squared away now. I really think that this is going to be like the biggest scare of the season. I think teams have seen, like, people will put you on blast. Like, if you go and fuck this up, like.
And you know what?
So hopefully.
We all shit on Rob Manfred, deservedly so. But that threat or whatever, and like apparently it wasn't a threat, it was just a conversation with Tony Clark, MLPA. But hey, he's right. You guys can't just be fucking around, going out every time you guys are on the road. You can't just it might be only one positive test here, one positive there. But if this just keeps happening every series, of course things are gonna get shut down.
And we've seen how ridiculously contagious this is. Like,
I was going to say too, how terrified are you if you're like that dude that went out like 6-7 days ago, because it has like an incubation period of like up to like 15 days. So like you could have made a mistake 2 weeks ago. That's why like Manfred's threat is great, but we wouldn't know the actual results of the threat for another 2 weeks. Even in some cases, it's a hard thing to get around. So like there might be some more positives based on how people were behaving over the last 2 weeks.
Right.
We're getting close to like now where it's been a week since the Marlins. So I think people were almost outside of that window. And once we get past that window, that I don't think you're going to see, like as I said, I don't think you're going to see another one of these like hot zones. I don't think it's going to happen. I think everyone's terrified to be the person that ruined the baseball season at this point, because you will be ostracized forever.
Especially now on social media and shit, dude. Nah, you can't be fucking with that.
You're done.
All right,
pictures everywhere.
Let's call it a show there, right at the 1:30 mark here. We'll have the main show again out on Friday morning. Always make sure you're following us on Twitter at PinwheelsIvyPod. Hit us up in the DMs if you want us to talk about something particular, or if you just want to see something on the show. So for K-Fids, Aldo, I'm Zoe. We'll see you guys later on this week. Let's stay hot. Chicago baseball. I don't even have to say Cubs or Sox. Chicago baseball. Take care of everybody.